Elias slowly opened his eyes and felt a strange warmth on his skin. A soft hum vibrated under his body, and the light around him was too bright, silver and sharp, cutting through the fog of his mind. He tried to sit up, but his body refused. It felt heavy, weak, as if it hadn't moved in years. A cool hand pressed against his chest, steadying him. "Calm down, human," a soft voice said, gentle yet firm. "Your heart cannot take sudden movement." Elias blinked, trying to focus. A figure stood before him, tall and graceful, with faintly glowing blue skin. Her eyes shone bright like stars, full of life but carrying a depth that made his chest tighten. There was something in her presence, something familiar yet utterly alien. His mind searched for words, but none came. "Where am I?" he whispered, his voice raw and hoarse like it hadn't been used in ages. "You are safe," she said. "You are aboard my station. You've been here 12 years. 12 years, the number hit him like a thunderclap. He tried to remember, but there was nothing, just the last memory of alarms, twisting metal, the fear of suffocating as his shuttle fell apart. He should have been dead, yet here he was, alive. "Who are you?" he asked, voice trembling. "I am," she said softly, almost shyly. "I've been taking care of you every night since you arrived." Elias' heart raced. He struggled to understand. Every instinct screamed to step back, to run, but his legs refused. He just stared, confused and awed. "Every night?" he asked, disbelief in his voice. "Yes," she said. "You were badly hurt. Your body could not survive alone, so I stayed. I kept you alive. Every night I made sure your body repaired itself. Every night I stayed with you while you slept." Elias felt a strange mix of emotions: fear, gratitude, awe, and confusion. He tried to imagine what 12 years could mean. Years of silence, of unconscious nights, of someone watching over him, protecting him while he knew nothing. The thought made his chest tighten. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you do this for me?" Hesitated, her eyes flicked down. When she spoke again, her voice trembled just slightly. "Because you were not ready to die alone. When I found you barely conscious, you whispered that you wanted someone with you. I promised you I would not leave." Elias swallowed hard. Her words struck a chord deep inside him. 12 years of care, patience, and presence, and he remembered nothing. She had lived through every long night of solitude with him. She had carried him through pain he could not remember. He tried to stand, but his legs wobbled uncontrollably. She caught him immediately, holding him steady. Her hands were warm, comforting, grounding him in the strange, new reality of his awakening. "You don't need to move yet," she said softly. "You've been asleep for a very long time. Give yourself a moment." Elias studied her. Her glowing skin, the gentle confidence in her movements, her luminous eyes. He wanted to ask more questions, to understand how it was possible, but the weight of the moment made him silent. He could only feel overwhelming gratitude, awe, and something deeper stirring within him, something tender he could not name. "You kept me alive all these years," he managed to say. She nodded, her lips curving into a small, sad smile. "I stayed with you when your body failed, when your mind struggled, when you were too weak to even breathe on your own, every night. I promised you I would never leave, and I never did." Elias felt his throat tighten. For 12 long years, a being from another world had cared for him, fought for him, and waited for him to awaken. And now he was awake. Now he was here. For the first time, Elias felt a stir of hope. A hope he hadn't known since the shuttle fell apart. He wasn't alone. He had never been alone, and the one who had endured 12 silent years of care was standing right in front of him. His heart whispered that his life had changed forever. Elias struggled to stand, his legs shaking like twigs in the wind. Hands were steady on his arms, guiding him slowly through the narrow corridors of the station. The walls glowed softly, pulsing with a gentle light that seemed alive, almost breathing. Every step he took made him realize how long he had been unconscious, how much of the world he had missed. "You've changed," said softly, watching him carefully. "Your body, your mind, both needed time to recover." Elias frowned. "Changed? I don't remember anything." "You don't have to," she said, a small sadness touching her voice. "The early years were difficult. Your memories were fragmented, broken. I had to rebuild what remained." He looked at her, startled. "You rebuilt me." "Yes," she said. Piece by piece, every night, every breath, I watched over you when you were too weak to even know you existed. Elias felt his chest tighten. 12 years. She had carried the weight of all that time alone. Nights filled with silence, fear, and constant vigilance. He could not even begin to imagine what it meant to live so long in the service of someone else's life. Why, he asked, his voice trembling, why did you do it? She hesitated. Her glowing eyes flicked down for a moment before meeting his again. Because I promised, she said softly. You spoke to me the first night you arrived. You whispered that you didn't want to die alone. I promised I would stay. I could not leave, not then, not ever. Elias' throat tightened. He had no memory of speaking, no memory of being aware, yet the words carried weight, a truth he could feel in every fiber of his being. He wanted to reach out, to touch her, to show her he understood, but he didn't know how. Come, she said, gently steering him down a wide hallway lined with large windows. Beyond the glass, the stars stretched endlessly, nebulae swirling like ribbons of light across the black sky. You used to watch this every night, she said softly. Even in sleep, your mind remembered. You reacted to it, though you did not know it. Elias pressed a hand to the glass, mesmerized. The colors were impossible, the beauty overwhelming. I don't remember any of this, he said. You don't need to, replied. I remembered for both of us. He turned to look at her. You remembered everything. Her eyes softened, sadness shining through her glow. I stayed with you. I saw every moment of your struggle, every broken thought. I held you when your body failed, when your mind was lost. I carried the memory of you when you could not. Elias felt tears prick the corners of his eyes. 12 years. She had lived through them all alone so that he could wake. Her devotion was not commanded, not required. She had chosen it night after night, century after century by his reckoning, though he did not remember a single moment. I don't know what to say, he whispered. She shook her head, a faint smile on her lips. You don't need to say anything. You only need to wake, to live. That is enough. He tried to imagine what it would have been like, lying in unconscious darkness while someone else carried your life. Someone else faced danger, fear, and loneliness on your behalf. It made his heart ache with gratitude. You loved me, he asked quietly, almost afraid to speak. His eyes softened further, though she did not answer directly. Instead, she placed a hand on his shoulder and led him to a chamber filled with warm, ambient light. This is where I healed you, she said, where I kept you safe, every night for 12 years. Elias swallowed hard. He could feel the weight of her words, the years of devotion, the endless nights she had given to him. For 12 long years, she had been his protector, his guide, his silent caretaker, and he had never known. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and for the first time he understood. She had not been just saving him. She had been waiting for him to wake, to live, to remember, even if he could not yet recall a single thing. The realization struck him like a wave. He was not alone. He had never been alone. And the one who had given him life for 12 long years was standing right in front of him, glowing softly in the silver light, watching him awaken. For the first time, Elias felt something stronger than confusion, stronger than fear. He felt a connection, a bond that went beyond words, beyond memory, beyond time itself. And he knew somehow that his life and his heart would never be the same again. Elias followed through the winding corridors of the station. Every step felt strange yet familiar, as if his body remembered something he could not. The soft hum of the station's systems filled the silence between them, comforting in a way he could not explain. You've been asleep for a long time, said softly, keeping her hand lightly on his arm. 12 years to be exact. He stopped, shaking his head. I don't understand. How can it be 12 years? It feels like I just woke up. Time is strange here, she said. Your mind was broken when I found you. You could not survive the recovery alone. I stayed with you every night while your body repaired itself and your memories reorganized. Elias stared at her, trying to grasp the weight of her words. 12 years. Nights he could not remember, memories that were not his yet had been shaped around him. You watched over me all this time. Yes, she said quietly. Her eyes, glowing softly, held a sadness he could feel in his chest. I watched while you slept. I guided your mind when the pain became too much. I listened to your thoughts even when you did not know you were thinking them. He could barely breathe. The idea of someone living alongside him silently for 12 years while he slept through it all was almost too much to comprehend. "Why?" he asked, voice trembling. "Why would you do that for me?" Paused, she looked out a window, her face illuminated by the swirling colors of the nebula beyond. "Because I promised. The first night I found you, you whispered that you didn't want to die alone. I could not leave you then, and I could not leave you later. I have carried the weight of your life for 12 years. Elias swallowed hard. The image of her, alone in the quiet corridors, watching over him through every broken, unconscious moment, made his chest ache. He could feel her care, her presence, in a way that words could not describe. 12 years of devotion, unbroken and patient, and he had not known a thing. "You stayed with me," he said, almost in disbelief. "Even when I couldn't remember, even when I couldn't see, even when I couldn't respond." She smiled faintly, though the glow of her eyes carried a deep sadness. "Even then, every night I stayed. Every night I repaired what your body and mind could not. Every night I whispered to your unconscious thoughts, guiding you back to life." Elias shook his head slowly. "I don't even know how to thank you. How do I repay something like that?" "You don't," said softly. "I did it because it was right, because someone had to, because I cared." Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. Elias could feel the quiet intensity of her emotions, the depth of a love, or perhaps something deeper, born from years of silent devotion. His heart ached, a strange mixture of guilt and admiration stirring inside him. I can't even imagine," he whispered, "what it must have been like all those nights." "It was lonely," she admitted. "Sometimes terrifying, but I never stopped, I never left you. And now you are awake, you are here, that is all that matters." Elias felt his chest tighten. He looked around the station at the soft light, the glowing walls, the endless stars outside, and realized he had not truly been alone. Not for a single moment, even if he had felt it. "You carried me through this," he said softly, voice trembling. "Through everything, alone for 12 years. "Yes," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Every night I carried you." Elias reached out instinctively to touch her hand. She did not pull away. Their fingers brushed, and a warmth spread through him, deep and grounding. For the first time in 12 years, he felt the presence of someone who had waited, who had struggled, who had lived for him, and he could not find words for the gratitude he felt. The station hummed softly around them, a living thing, holding their silence, holding their shared understanding. For the first time, Elias realized that waking was not just about surviving. It was about meeting the one who had made survival possible. And in that quiet moment, he knew he had found more than life. He had found someone who had carried his soul when he could not, someone whose devotion had never wavered. He had found, guided Elias down a long corridor that opened into a dim chamber. The walls pulsed with soft blue light, gentle yet alive, as if the room itself breathed. Elias stopped, looking around in awe. The space was unfamiliar and yet somehow deeply familiar, as though it had been waiting for him. "This is where I healed you," said softly. "Where I kept you safe every night, 12 years of nights." Elias' eyes widened. 12 years in this room. "Yes," she said quietly. "Every night I sat beside you. Every night I repaired your body when it failed. Every night I guided your mind through pain and confusion. You were unconscious most of the time, but I was always here." He shook his head, trying to understand. How is that even possible?" "It was not easy," admitted. "Your species is fragile in ways I had to learn quickly. The first years were difficult. I thought I might fail many times, but I could not leave you, I promised." Elias swallowed hard, his chest tightening. He could imagine her sitting there night after night, the room dark except for the soft glow of the walls, watching over him while he slept. 12 years of silent vigilance, alone, and he had been unaware of every moment. "You stayed with me," he whispered, "even when I couldn't remember, even when I couldn't respond." "Yes," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Every night, I entered your dreams, guided your mind away from fear. Sometimes I spoke to you without words. Sometimes I had to repair the fragments of your memory or your body would have failed completely. I could not let you die. Elias felt his throat close. The thought of someone sacrificing their life, their time, for him, day after day, year after year, filled him with overwhelming emotion. Gratitude, awe, and a strange guilt mingled together, tight in his chest. Why would you do this for me? He asked, voice trembling. Looked down, her glowing eyes flickering softly. Because I promised, because I saw you suffer, because I cared, not out of duty, not out of obligation, but because I could not bear to see you lost. I stayed when no one else would, when the universe had abandoned you. I stayed for you. He tried to comprehend it. 12 years of solitude, of care, of devotion. 12 years she had given entirely to him, unseen, unknown, yet unwavering. It was almost impossible to imagine. I don't know what to say, he whispered. I can't repay this. You do not need to, she said softly. You only need to wake, to live, that is enough. He looked at her, really looked at her for the first time, seeing the quiet strength in her eyes, the faint sadness, the endless patience she had held. He realized then that she had not only saved his life, she had carried his very soul through years of darkness. I want to understand, he said finally. I want to know everything, all the years I missed, all the nights you stayed here for me. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. I will show you everything, but first you must accept that you were never alone. Even when your mind told you otherwise, I was always here, watching, waiting, protecting, loving you in a way you cannot yet remember. Elias felt a lump in his throat. It was not fear, not confusion. It was something deeper, something like hope, something like belonging. The room hummed softly around them, alive with its gentle pulse, holding the weight of 12 long years of care. And for the first time, Elias understood that waking was not simply about opening his eyes. It was about meeting the one who had kept his life together, piece by piece, night after night. You carried me, he said softly, every night alone for 12 years. Yes, she whispered, every night I carried you. Elias reached out, trembling, and touched her hand. She did not pull away. Their fingers brushed, and a warmth spread through him, grounding him, connecting him to the truth he had only just begun to realize. For 12 years had been his guardian, his constant, his silent protector. And now, in this soft, pulsing chamber, Elias felt a bond that went deeper than memory, deeper than time. He had awakened, yes, but more importantly, he had found the one who had waited for him through the darkness. And somehow he knew that this was only the beginning. Elias had begun to understand the depth of devotion, but the station around them was not entirely safe. Its walls hummed softly with life, yet there was an edge to the air, a tension he could feel in his chest. Sensed it too. Her eyes flicked toward a control panel, her expression hardening for the first time since he awoke. There is something you must know, she said softly. Your rescue, it was not entirely by chance. You were not the first human to reach this sector, but you were the first one who survived long enough for me to find you. Elias frowned. What do you mean, who else? Others came, she said quietly. Some died before I could intervene, others were taken. I saved you because I could. But the universe does not stop, Elias. Danger is always near, and it has been waiting for a moment like this. He felt a cold shiver run down his spine. 12 years of sleep, 12 years of care, and now he was awake, right into the middle of a threat he could not yet see. His mind raced. Threat? What threat? Hesitated, then stepped closer. Her hand rested lightly on his shoulder, grounding him. There are entities, hunters. They roam this sector, seeking humans for experiments. They are cruel, precise, and patient. I have kept you hidden, protected, every night for 12 years, but waking you now, it will attract attention. Elias' chest tightened. Fear bubbled up alongside the gratitude he still felt. You saved me from death, and now you tell me I'm still not safe. Yes, she said firmly, yet gently. I saved you from the immediate danger, but the universe is vast and predators are patient. We must be vigilant. You must learn to trust me as you did in sleep, even when you did not know it. He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the resolve beneath her calm demeanor. 12 years of silent watchfulness, 12 years of dedication, and now she asked him to trust her once more. For the first time since awakening, he realized that the care she had given him was only part of what she did. She had also prepared him, unknowingly, for this very moment. What do we do?" he asked, his voice small. "We prepare," she said, her hand tightening slightly on his arm. "You need strength, awareness, and understanding. I will teach you everything. How to move, how to survive, how to see without being seen. You must awaken fully, Elias, not just your body, but your mind and instincts." He swallowed hard, fear gnawing at him, but also a flicker of determination rising. 12 years of dependence had left him fragile, yet the knowledge that had never wavered gave him courage. If she could endure 12 years of silent vigilance, he could endure what lay ahead. I want to learn," he said finally, voice steadying. "I don't want to fail you, I don't want to fail myself." His eyes softened, glowing warmly. "You will not fail. You have already survived the impossible. The years you spent under my care have prepared you more than you realize. Your body is stronger, your mind sharper. You are ready to wake fully, Elias, and together we will face whatever comes." He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words, feeling the bond that had been forged in 12 long years of care and silent devotion. Fear still lingered, but it was joined now by resolve. The warmth of her hand, the strength in her gaze, and the unspoken truth of her loyalty gave him courage he hadn't known he possessed. For the first time, he felt not just alive, but capable, prepared, and connected. 12 years had passed, but he had awakened into more than life. He had awakened into purpose. The station hummed softly around them, carrying the weight of secrets, of years of care, and of dangers waiting beyond its walls. Elias met's gaze, and in that moment he understood fully. The nights she had carried him were only the beginning. The real challenge had just begun. And he was ready. Elias' heart pounded as he followed through the narrow corridors of the station. Every step felt deliberate, calculated, as if the walls themselves could hear their movements. For the first time, he noticed how quiet the station had become. No soft hums, no gentle lights pulsing. The silence was heavy, tense, as if the building was holding its breath. "Stay close," whispered, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "The hunters are near. They will sense your presence if you falter." Elias swallowed hard, trying to steady himself. 12 years of sleep, 12 years of care, and now he was being asked to face danger. His muscles were still weak, his mind still untrained, but the resolve in his gaze gave him courage he didn't know he had. What are they like?" he asked quietly, trying not to let fear show. "They are precise," said. "Cold, unfeeling, they do not hesitate. They take what they want and leave nothing behind. I have kept you hidden for 12 years, but now you must learn to survive on your own even if I am near." Her words sent a chill through him, but he nodded. He had seen her strength, her patience, her devotion. If she could endure 12 years of waiting and care, he could endure this moment. He had too. They moved through a shadowed hallway, the dim light barely illuminating the walls. Elias could feel the tension building in his chest, a mix of fear and anticipation. He followed lead, noticing the subtle shifts in her body, the way she paused to listen, the way her glowing eyes scanned every corner. She was alive to everything, aware of every potential danger. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the corridor, a soft, mechanical hum followed by a metallic click. Froze. Her hand tightened on his arm, pulling him behind a large support beam. Elias held his breath, trying to make himself invisible, trying to calm the storm of his racing heart. "They're here," whispered, her voice barely audible. "They've sensed something." Elias' mind raced. He could feel the weight of 12 years of her vigilance, and now the reality of danger pressed against him. He realized, with a strange clarity, that he was no longer just the one who had been protected. He was now part of the fight, part of the survival. The hunters emerged, moving with deadly precision. Their forms were sleek, metallic, and inhuman. Eyes glowed faintly red, scanning, searching. They paused for a moment, sensing something, then moved closer. Elias felt his heart hammer against his ribs, a mix of fear and adrenaline flooding his system. "Focus," whispered. "Breathe, trust yourself, trust me." Elias obeyed, mimicking her movements. He felt the power of her presence beside him, guiding him, steadying him. For 12 years, she had carried him. Now, in this moment, he would carry himself. The hunters advanced, silent, relentless. Elias' body moved instinctively, ducking, shifting, blending into the shadows. He realized he had learned from her even without knowing it. 12 years of care, 12 years of training in the silence of sleep had prepared him for this. One hunter moved too close. Elias acted. He pushed forward, using its own momentum against it, and it stumbled slightly, startled. Moved like liquid light beside him, guiding him, reinforcing his actions. Together, they were a single force, one body, one mind, working as if they had always been connected. Breathing hard, Elias realized something profound. He was awake, alive, and capable. The 12 years of silent protection the knights had endured had not only saved him, they had made him ready. And now, for the first time, he understood the truth of her words. He had survived the impossible once, and with her, he would survive again. The hunters paused, assessing, then retreated into the shadows. The immediate danger had passed, but Elias knew it was only the beginning. Looked at him, her eyes glowing softly, and smiled faintly. "You did well," she said quietly. "You are stronger than you know, and this is only the first trial." Elias' chest swelled with a mixture of exhaustion, fear, and pride. He realized that the 12 years of care, devotion, and silent preparation were not over. They were just starting to bear fruit. For the first time, he truly felt awake. The station was quiet again, but the tension still lingered, like a shadow that refused to leave. Elias stood beside, breathing heavily, his body alive with a strange mixture of exhaustion and adrenaline. The hunters had retreated, but their presence had left a mark, an invisible reminder that the universe outside this station was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous. His eyes glowed softly as she looked at him. "You've done well, Elias," she said, her voice carrying warmth and pride. "Not just in surviving, but in learning, in trusting yourself, in trusting me." Elias' throat tightened. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw the depth of those 12 years reflected in her eyes. The nights of solitude, the constant vigilance, the quiet love she had poured into him without ever asking for anything in return. His heart ached with gratitude and something deeper, something he could not name. I don't know if I can ever thank you enough," he said, his voice breaking slightly. 12 years, you spent 12 years caring for me, protecting me, carrying me when I couldn't even carry myself." Shook her head gently. "You don't need to thank me," she said softly. "I did it because it was right, because you mattered, because I promised, and now you are awake, you are here, that is all that matters." Elias reached out and took her hand in his, feeling the warmth and steady strength she had always offered. The bond between them, forged in years of silent care and unspoken devotion, felt unbreakable now. He realized for the first time that he had never truly been alone, not for a single moment. I understand now," he whispered. "I understand what you did for me, what you gave me. You didn't just save my life, you saved me. My mind, my heart, everything." Smiled faintly, her eyes shimmering with a mixture of pride and relief. "And now, Elias, it is time for you to live, fully, freely. No more shadows, no more fear. You have survived and you have awakened. Together we will face the universe, not as protector and ward, but as equals." Elias' chest swelled. The weight of 12 years of dependency, of being cared for, was finally transforming into strength. He realized that devotion had not only kept him alive, but had shaped him into someone capable of surviving on his own, and of fighting alongside her. He looked around the chamber, the glowing walls, the hum of the station, and felt a profound sense of gratitude. 12 years of nights, of silence, of constant care had led him here. And now, for the first time, he felt truly awake, mind, body, and soul. He said softly, "I don't want to lose this, us. I don't want to forget what you've done for me. I want to remember. I want to live knowing you were here all these years." She placed her hand on his cheek, her glow warming his skin. "You will never forget," she said quietly. "Our connection is stronger than memory, stronger than time. 12 years have proven that, and now we will face what comes together." For the first time, Elias smiled, not a weak, unsure smile, but one filled with life, strength, and hope. He felt the weight of the past lift from his shoulders, replaced by the knowledge that he was not alone. He had awakened into a world of possibility, and beside him was someone who had given everything for him. The station hummed softly around them, alive and gentle, carrying the echoes of 12 years of devotion. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, vast and beautiful, waiting for them. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of his hand in his, the presence that had guided him through darkness. "I'm ready," he said quietly but firmly. "I'm ready to live, and I'm ready to face everything with you." His eyes glowed brighter for a moment, her lips curving into a faint smile. "Then let us begin," she said softly. And together they stepped forward, leaving the past behind, ready to embrace the universe and the life they had both fought 12 long years to reach. For the first time, Elias was truly awake and truly alive.